Going to speak to you this evening about 3 examples of good shepherds. And I think that these examples are not only historic examples, but they are very germane to the times in which we live. We need good shepherds because the flock is under attack. The first good shepherd I want to mention to you this evening is a priest named Maximilian Kolbe. Blessed Maximilian Kolbe. Has anyone heard of him? Great priest. From where? Poland. Great priest from Poland. And Maximilian Kolbe was a Franciscan friar. And he had great devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and he founded a group of friars known as the Militia of the Immaculata. He also published a magazine, the Immaculata magazine. He did it in Japan as a mission, then he came back to Poland during the time of the Nazi occupation. He refused to leave his monastery, his friary, and he took in many Jews and hid them in the friary. He also continued to print his magazine, and he had the courage to criticize the Nazis. He was arrested, brought to a concentration camp. And as you know, at the concentration camps, they would have a lineup in the morning of the prisoners. And they would begin to count. And if one was missing, it meant that 10 would die. Called decimation. One morning, they were 1 short. It seemed as if someone escaped. And the Nazi guards said, "We'll now pick 10 people who will die for the one that escaped." They picked out 10 men. And one man began to plead, please spare me, I have a wife and children." He began to shout and cry. And Maximilian Kolbe said, "Leave him alone. I'll take his place." Guards were shocked because it was a horrendous death that he was going to endure. He said, "Step forward, number 16670. Who are you?" "I'm a Catholic priest." "What's your name?" 16670. "Father Kolbe. I'm a Catholic priest." "You'll take this man's place and die?" "I will." And they took Father Kolbe and they put him in one of the most torturous chambers they had, a small closet. Barely a body could fit in the closet. Couldn't kneel, couldn't sit, couldn't stand. No light, no food. And he stayed there for 2 weeks. He didn't die fast enough. So the Nazis injected him with sodium pentothal, and he finally died. Good shepherd? That's a good shepherd. And the man whose life he saved went to his canonization in Rome, performed by none other than the great Polish Pope, John Paul the Great. That's a good shepherd. We need shepherds like Maximilian Kolbe today. Had the Nazis gained control, they divided people up into different groups: Jews, Christians, gypsies, homosexuals. They divided, they conquered. That's how a society is conquered. When people are divided. That's identity politics, we call it today. You don't let it happen here. Divide and conquer. And the results will be similar to the results in Nazi Germany. One group gains control of the whole. Second great priest, Father Miguel Pro. How many have ever heard of Father Miguel Pro? He's a blessed Miguel Pro. He comes from Mexico. In the 1920s, a revolutionary party got control of Mexico, so close to us, 1920s, 100 years ago. Revolutionary Party gets control of the country. They're socialists. They talk about the redistribution of the land. What's the first thing they do when socialism gets hold of a country? They begin to close the churches. And that's what happened in Mexico. They closed the churches, they closed the schools, and they wouldn't even let the religious walk in the streets with their clerical garb and religious habits. Miguel Pro was studying in Rome, and he decided that he would have to go home and take care of the suffering people in Mexico. He went home and realized that people were dying in hospitals and in prisons and in their homes without the benefit of the sacraments. And so he began to visit the homes and said masses in the homes, always under the fear that the Mexican government would find him and arrest him. Then he went to the hospitals, made believe he was a doctor, dressed as an orderly, but he administered the sacraments in the hospitals. And then he went to the prisons. He went to the prisons. People were going to be executed because they opposed the socialist regime, because they were practicing their faith. And he disguised himself over a number of months as a prison guard, and they let him in. And he administered the sacraments to those who were getting ready to be executed. He was finally captured He was put before a firing squad, 1927, not too long ago. Put before a firing squad. And his last words were, "Viva Cristo Rey. Viva Cristo Rey. Long live Christ the King." That's a good shepherd. We hear today in our own country people who favor socialism, who favor the redistribution of wealth. And in our own country, and in a country not too far away from us in Canada, churches are being closed and people are being told they cannot worship because of fear of a coronavirus. God is being pushed out of our schools. He has been pushed out of our schools. Are we too far away from Mexico in the 1920s? The danger is close. The danger is close. Lastly, how many of you have heard of a priest named Father Vincent Capodanno? Father Capodanno came from a place called Staten Island. If you go to the Verrazano Bridge, connects Staten Island and Brooklyn, there is a road, Father Capodanno Boulevard. Father Capodanno was a Maryknoll priest. And he asked permission from his order, the Maryknoll Fathers, if he could join the military. And he volunteered to serve in Vietnam. Father Capodanno went to Vietnam. You can go online and you could read his story. You can even see a short video. The unit that he was serving with in Vietnam was surrounded by the Viet Cong, outnumbered 5-1. Father Capodanno refused to leave the battlefield. When they were called to retreat, he saw the soldiers that were wounded. He grabbed the medic who was wounded on the field, threw his backpack off him, and dragged the medic to a trench. And then he went back. There was a young soldier, critically wounded. Father Capodanno went back to drag him off the field. And the Viet Cong put 27 bullets into him. He's now a servant of God. We pray for his canonization. Is there a lesson, Father Capodanno in Vietnam? Yeah. We lost the Vietnam War because America gave up her desire to fight. We sacrificed 57,000 lives in Vietnam. But there was a hero there, Father Capodanno. He was willing to fight, to save the lives of fallen soldiers. We lost because America didn't have the desire to win anymore. 57,000 lives and probably millions of South Vietnamese. We lost the desire to fight. Have we lost the desire to fight in our own country today? Are we letting certain elements take over? Are we letting our Constitution be torn to shreds? Are we allowing our First Amendment rights to be canceled? Have we lost our desire to fight for what we know is right and for those rights given to us in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and yes, by our founding heroes, Washington and Jefferson, and Madison, and Lincoln? We are becoming soft. We're becoming complacent. We need heroes. Our civilization is under attack. I am extremely fearful. I want to quote to you something that Cardinal George, the late Cardinal George, the great Cardinal of Chicago, said not too many years ago before he died. He said, "I will die in my bed. My successor will die in jail. His successor will die before a firing squad." But in the end, the church will be there to pick up the shards of a destroyed civilization. And the church will be there to put that lost society back together again. My contention is that it will be done by the church, by her priests. Miguel Pro, Maximilian Kolbe, and Vincent Capodanno. God bless you.